want to welcome Hlonela. Hlonela, if you didn't read my post, she is a business producer at a CGTN Africa, currently based in Nairobi, Kenya. After building an impressive resume working for some of South Africa's biggest media players, she's packed up, sold her house, and headed off to Istanbul, Turkey, where she kicked off her international broadcast career working for TRT. Ningacathi ukuthi uHlonela umuntu serious, uyayithanda izinto, uthanda ubumnandi, she loves people, Hlonela's got like the best balance between professionalism, work-wise, and loving things, like a beautiful book. She's absolutely traveled the world and back, and today she's decided to have a virtual conversation with us from East Africa so we can tap on and find out how is she doing. How are you, Hlonela?
I'm good. I'm fresh. I've been sleeping a lot. Thank you, Miss Verna. I'm good.
So one of the ways in which you describe yourself, Hlonela, is a South African nomad living in Kenya. That description and those choice of words, which suggest that you are just ever moving, ever moving. What is it about that statement and you? What's the connection there?
Let's see. I think from a very young age, I've always liked being on the road. Like, I'm happiest when I'm on the road because, one, it gives me the opportunity to meet all kinds of people. And through all kinds of people, you learn. You learn a lot about culture. You learn a lot about yourself as well. So I've grown through traveling, through meeting people, through making friendships. Some of them are lasting, some of them not so much. And even that is a lesson in life, you know. So the more you travel, the more you grow, really. If you don't move physically, you won't move spiritually, mentally, you know, in your professional growth. So the more you grow, you never know what's out there and what might take you to the next level of what you want to become, or something that you're not even aware that is something you're good at, may be highlighted by someone you meet on the side of the road, or a bus stop, or in the club, or I'm telling you, it's never ending. A bathroom, because you know what I'm talking about. You never know. So me, when I move, it keeps me moving spiritually, it keeps me moving socially, it keeps me moving professionally, and it's given me the opportunity to become some sort of glue for a lot of people, like, or different kinds of people. You'll meet, when you meet my friends, Abafan, and you ask yourself, I mean, you and I, it's quite obvious we're friends, but if you meet, for example, Mante Dieng, and we've had a lot of people ask us, how are you two friends? Because I'm an extrovert, she's the opposite, but we make it work and it's beautiful. So the more I move, the more I tend to meet people like that, and I love it.
One of the things when I see just some of the countries that you've traveled with, as a Black person coming from poverty, that travel was not even part of our vocab growing up. I'm interested to find out from you, what are some of your initial memories of travel? Some people may say that, auntie, but as a child growing up in South Africa, what were some of those memories of travel? Is it travel shows or travel that you did as a family?
It's travel that we did as a family. So I grew up until I was 11, 12 in Port Elizabeth, in New Bright, Epai, where Umandisi Yankees is from also. I grew up in New Bright, and my mom got married and moved to Joburg. So a year and a bit later, my grandmother was like, please take us. So I had to move to Joburg. And that's how it started, really. I moved to Joburg to live with my mom and my stepdad at the time, and my younger sister, Okumbulani. And it was just great because, one, and everyone around me speaks Zulu. And that's when I discovered that I love learning languages. I love it. So in a short space of time, I you know, so that started from there. I immersed myself in Joburg. It was great. It was really beautiful. And back and forth came because my grandmother is in PE and my family, my immediate family is in Johannesburg. During holidays, Easter, June, December, my mom made it a point to visit our grandmother. We'd use mostly ibus, or we'd plane. So that's when my mom is the root of my love for travel. And we'd cook, and well, she'd cook and bake, and I'd just pack my bags, and we'd like travel overnight and just eat, talk, laugh. I'd get beaten because I like being in the streets overnight. But it started from there, and the more I grew up and saw how other people were traveling, especially when I started working in Johannesburg, I saw how people were living abroad, and it just I didn't understand it. I'm like, how can I be that person? I really want to live South Africa and just work and enjoy my life and grow elsewhere. But it took me the longest time to find what it is I wanted to do abroad, and that chance, that break. And I believe you were there when actually it came through. A friend of mine, Nontobeko, a very good friend of mine, is in South Africa right now. He was my editor at the time, and we were talking about a former editor who'd left to start a new career in Istanbul. And he joked and said, the way you're so sad at this company, why don't you follow Nick Morgan, your editor? And I looked the company up, guess what? A long list of opportunities just staring me in the face. And I'm like, excuse me, what's happening here? I applied a few months later, little girl was in Istanbul, And that was just, I never looked back. So yeah,
Wow.
mom was the initial route of my travel, and it's just been growing through friendships, through lovers, through colleagues. It's just been up and up.
Readjusting then for you, is it so much of a problem? Because some people struggle with that. You see mental health kicking in, you see people having a hunger to go back home. Why not?
I got introduced to the idea of moving around at a very young age. So we moved from 11 to 12. When I was 11, 12 years old to Joburg, I lived there for most of my high school until matric. We then moved to Pretoria, which is where I studied at TUT. I did journalism at TUT. And I stayed another 3-4 years and a bit before I got my first gig in Joburg. I moved back to Joburg on my own. So my internship, I was living in a commune. And that rooted my being alone all the time. I didn't mind it. I think as a person as well, I do pretty well on my own. I love being with people, but I also love my time on my own. So it wasn't really an adjustment from leaving family in Pretoria because I was already used to moving around and making friends everywhere. So if you go to, say, Cape Town, I can link you up there. If you go to Durban, I can link you up there. If you're in Pretoria, I got somebody over there. So it just, I looked a lot at the positives of moving around and starting a new family, be it through immediate family or be it through friendships.
How has this COVID-19 pandemic affected your own travel?
Yeah. In the beginning, I think, even though I'm in the new space, I think like a lot of people, I didn't, especially because of it started spreading really fast away from us. So in my head and in my heart of hearts, I truly believed by the time it reaches Africa, there will be some sort of vaccine, which means I won't be affected in my travels. I can continue. I got a trip in Feb thinking, end of May when I need to be moving, we should be okay. So you can imagine the shock when it started spreading really quickly and it started affecting people I actually know personally. And work was also putting contingency plans and security measures and, giving us heads up, educating us about the virus. I was like, okay. So 2020 is canceled then. And it for someone who likes moving around, it was hard in the beginning. It really was, because I had all these plans, and one of them being my annual birthday festival. But I quickly learned that this is not happening. Nothing's happening this year. All we're doing is dealing with COVID-19, and that's it. It was hard in the beginning, but I've adjusted really well. And one of the ways that's helped me is I have a close friend, Umusa. I'm sure a lot of you know him. He's been my rock. He's been a source of happiness for me. He's family. He will check up on you when you don't even want him anymore. You're like, please don't, can you stop? I'm fine. He's the kind of person who keeps coming back to make sure that you're okay. So when you live in a foreign country, it's heartwarming when you have someone like that who's consistent, who is with you all the time. He's Kenyan. So I learned a lot of things about Nairobi through him. Things that I won't be able to find in the new space. So he's been my rock, basically. Secondly, I got introduced to meditation by Umantedieng. It's something that I have never done in my 32 years of in this life. I've never, because I'm a scatterbrain. There's a lot happening here. And I find it very difficult to silence my thoughts. And from what I knew before, meditation, you know, silencing your thoughts is a big part of meditation. So I was like, I know it's fine, it's okay. It's not for me. But when she invited me, I thought, you know what? I sent her a private message, actually. I said, you know, I've never done this before, but I'd really like to try it out and see where it takes me. It's been about a week now, over a week. And silencing my thoughts is really, it's a struggle. But something else that comes with meditation is affirmations. Yeah. So I have all this time. Let me just add that at work, because of the quick spread of the coronavirus, they've introduced lesser shifts in the office. So we work mostly from home, and you'll find that when you're not working, you have a chunk of time that you're just not, what do you do about it? Do you sleep? You can only sleep so much. Do you eat? You can only eat so much. So this meditation came at the right time, so to say. And the kind of sessions that we do, they sort of remind you of things that you already know. So for me personally, it reaffirmed and refocused my energies on plans that have been sitting in the background, you know. I got to a point where when coronavirus hit, I'd been traveling a lot and I wanted to do more traveling, as I do. But because I can't move, I've now had to readjust my life accordingly. And some of that is this meditation, as it reaffirmed, it reminded me of other goals aside from traveling that I've wanted for myself, but not necessarily had acted on them. And I'm starting to act on them now, and it's beautiful. And it's not something like, for example, you mentioned earlier when we started off about the house I had to sell in South Africa. I wish I hadn't sold that apartment. I really do, because it's an investment one. And fast forward to 4 years later, I would have had a home still in South Africa that is under my name. Even though someone else is living there, renting off, paying itself off, it still would have been under my name. Over time, I'm learning it would have been easier for me, even if I'd moved in and started paying off myself. At this point, it would have been easier. But I panicked. I think I panicked. I was really young. And I was moving to a different country, trying to learn new things. I didn't want the stress that would have come with owning an apartment in South Africa. So I sold it off. And 2 years in, or even under that, I thought I shouldn't have done that. So I didn't do anything about it immediately. I continued traveling because living my best life. But then this sort of lockdown in all kinds of sectors, because coronavirus has just destroyed everything. Yeah. It's given me time to refocus and go back to that dream of owning a house again that is under my name. And I'm currently working towards that. And not spending a lot of money in other things has helped me refocus to channel all of those funds to what's most important right now to me, which is owning an apartment. Other things are, I'm learning. I'm very bubbly, I'm very loud, I'm very social. You know, when people see me and I'm not talking, they immediately assume that something's wrong. But it's taught me to, like, what's the word? Like, I'm learning a lot about myself. So things like I'm very short-tempered, I'm learning. And these are things maybe people were too scared to say, but I'm learning that I'm very, very short-tempered, and it's teaching me ways to deal with that anger, to rechannel that anger, to react better in situations and not immediately and then regret it later. So it's a personal journey, like Ventus would say. It's going on at my own pace, but it's really helping me at this time. Yeah.
A friend of mine and I were talking about how it feels like this transition in the world and everything that's going on, we're all just going through the necessary time of shredding old relationships and just trying to walk towards that pull that's pulling us more towards it. And I'm so grateful that you found meditation, because I think Neo here commented and said meditation is probably the hardest thing to do, just to get your mind to be still, particularly as umuntu ophaphile. But I also want to attack that assumption that says, Ruti, why do people think that maupaphile, you not actually can be someone who loves meditation, someone who loves time out? There are people that are just always wanting you to do something. How, as you were saying right now, how do you also handle that demand from people when in actual fact you're saying, this is also me, and it's just as valid, as loud Hlonela, as energetic Hlonela. And I ain't being bitchy. It's just me.
So it's different. It depends what kind of space I'm in. For example, at work, and this has been the same sort of attitude or reaction in different kinds of media houses that I've worked at. Because they know me as this loud person, people will come over and like rub my back and ask, "You okay? Is everything okay? You're too quiet today." I'm like, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm fine. I mean, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong. Or I'll get little gifts. I remember in Istanbul, a colleague of mine, I won't say his name, he would leave little gifts on my desk if I appeared to be either
Wow.
sick, quiet, or so that was precious, and I took a great advantage of that. But it was precious. He wasn't very like imposing, so to say, but he would leave like little things that he would think, this will cheer her up. She's too quiet. She looks sad. She's, you know. And I don't have that many people whom I'm that open with if things are not going well. I think that's another thing I'm working on, that I tend to keep up the I'm happy, I'm fine, I'm good. And I deal better with other people's problems. So that's something I'm working through this meditation as well. With social friendships and all of that outside the workspace, it's easier because I can just say, I'm sleepy, I'm going home, if I'm not okay. Like, guys, I'm sleepy. Tomorrow, good night, you know. It's easier. You can just eject yourself from a space. Whereas at work, you're there with people for 12 or more hours. And whenever someone walks in, they demand to know, are you okay? What's happening? So sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not. But yeah, if nothing's wrong, then nothing's wrong. If something is wrong, then I have those people that I talk to about what it is that's bothering me. One of them being Tuli Shabalala. She doesn't think I'm very open, but I'm more open with her than I am with people. I've got someone who asked me a few months ago, actually, a lady in South Africa, we're friends, new friends. So she met me as this bubbly person, and fast forward, now we're following each other on the socials. And she asked me, do you ever feel sad? Because whenever I see you, whenever I see your posts, whenever I see your pictures, your videos, you're just bubbly, you're laughing, you know. And I do have those days. However, I try to refocus myself to feel happier. I try not to dwell into sadness too much. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes people around me or things around me make it easier. But I try to be more happier than I am sad, and it closes off a lot of the bad energies, because you never know when you're feeling down and people take advantage of that vulnerability. Hey, English.
News.
Broadcast. I feel a lot happier than more often than not. I try to bring happiness to people around me more often than not. And in instances where I've been wrong, it might not be immediate, but I do take, own up to my own responsibilities and my own mistakes. But yeah, I try to like focus my energies to being happy. Just be happy. Be happy even when things are not going well in my life, or as fast as well as I'd like. But I try to like remind myself, maybe this is not your time, or maybe this is not for you, and refocus my energies to something else. Yeah.
Yeah. For anyone who's just tuned in, this is Lockdown Abroad. It's myself, Sibisi. I'm in conversation with Hlonela. She's based in East Africa right now, in Nairobi, Kenya, where actually, in fact, is the epicenter of the coronavirus, is Nairobi, Kenya, just like Johannesburg, South Africa. We're simply having a conversation about how she's coping through this pandemic. Before I go to my next question, I just want to check from the floor. I just want to check a question card here that I see. Someone says, on the topic of travel, do you think because Africa is not affected by this, it would encourage Africans to travel with... On the topic of travel, do you think because Africa... I
think what they're trying to ask is would it encourage other Africans to travel more of Africa?
Okay. Well, yeah. What you understand?
Zani?
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's what he's asking there.
And what do you think?
I think the more people move, the more the virus spreads. So that's very important, one.
Yeah, yeah.
So right now, I would not encourage anyone to be traveling.
Don't do
Because
it.
even if you don't have it and you take the necessary precautionary measures leaving Joburg or wherever you're from, you may pick it up at the airport, you may pick it up in a cab going to the airport. It's just, you can pick it up anywhere. So moving right now, no. Long term, I would always, always, always motivate and encourage Africans to explore more of Africa. I know it's a little expensive. It's very, well, not a little, it's expensive traveling through Africa. So you got to be very smart about it. You got to plan way ahead of time, because if you plan this week and you want to go to Ghana next week, friend, just minus their 50% of your salary, and then you're planning is very important when it comes to Africa. It's not like Europe where you get one visa and you can just move around all over Europe. Here, you need, because of your bureaucracy, you need different visas for different countries or regions. And some of those visas, depending on the politics and whatever is of the South Africa and the other country, the relations, you may find that you're given exactly a week. You pay $300 to be in Nigeria, for instance. It's not 300, but I'm making an example. And you're there for a week, you've paid that much money just to be in a country for a week. So I would say when all of this is over, yes, 100 times yes, we need to travel more of Africa. We need to. It is healing, it is educational, it is beautiful, and it will remind us of Ubuntu. And this is crucial. Whenever I talk about the few countries that I've been to in Africa, I like to remind people that as a South African, for me, it's been an eye-opener, because when I was younger, I couldn't travel as much, right? And now I'm starting to travel kancane, and I found that sometimes it's a beautiful experience. However, you get those instances where you're just dumbfounded, you don't know what to say, because you get into a restaurant, you order a drink, and someone comes up to me, and this has happened to me a few times, comes up to you and they ask, what's your name? Then I say my name, Hlonela. It's obviously South African. And the next question is, oh, why do you people treat us like this in your country? It's happened a few times. It's happened here in Kenya, it's happened in Ghana. It happens a lot. Like, people will ask. And it's not in a violent way, I want you to leave this place immediately because you don't belong here, because you people treat us a certain way. But they genuinely want to understand, why do South Africans treat other Africans this way in South Africa? And I can't answer that question. I can give you a few theories, but I don't fully understand why we must mistreat other people, not just Africans, mistreat other humans the way we do in South Africa. It's really hard. So traveling through will teach you of Ubuntu. It will teach you, for instance, in Kenya, people here are so warm. I generally think if they weren't Kenyans, they wish they were South Africans. They call us their cousins. But, they love the South African culture, they love the South African people, but they are just confused as to why do South Africans treat other Africans this way? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The more you travel, the more you see how other Africans treat South Africans and other fellow Africans, it will teach you, and it will to take that home with you. And then by when you go back home, you're educating other people who maybe can't access funds to travel to Africa. You just share those stories. Maybe by sharing those stories, you're teaching a few people. Those people will teach other people. So yes, when coronavirus is over, let us travel more of Africa, people. We need to. It is our duty. It is beautiful. You will not regret it.
While I collect some of the questions here, I wanted to have you think and speak about how there is power in also traveling by your own, because sometimes there's a place where solitude takes you, where you have to be intimate with yourself. There's no distraction of friends, of your social life, in anything like that. It's just meeting Africans, the spirit of Africa in the world. I remember traveling in East Africa when I came to visit you, and then traveled to the rest of East Africa, the region. It was really quite a spiritual experience more than anything, to be left just virtually by yourself, to trust yourself, and then also the humanity of the people around you. And you're right with people asking your question. People genuinely ask me, why did we kill Lucky Dube? What did we do to Senzo Meyiwa? Why are we killing their people? And genuinely, it's not out of sight. It's like you're sitting down, you're trying to enjoy a drink. They just be like, by the way, why are you guys killing our people? You can see you've arrived here, we treated you well, we're not trying to rape you. And they'd be like, my sister, I'm not trying to rape you. I'm not trying to kill you. But what are you doing? And that's a hard question to face when you've traveled so beautifully and been treated so well. How do you deal with that
What is
internal
up?
question?
Mm.
Like
Look, there's no specific way of answering such a question like that, because like you say, it comes in different ways. You know, you could be having the best time with these people and then one of them suddenly remembers xenophobic attacks. What was that all about? You know, and then the energy just switches and now you must explain. So I always say that it's a mixture of things. It's a mixture of problems that we have back home that we are now funneling to other people. Mixture of things: poverty, lack of education, lack of employment. People don't know who to look up to. There's a feeling that the government is not doing as well as it should. Promises have been made and people are not delivering. And as soon as they see a non-South African coming to us, South Africa, and it's not an excuse, they then tend to blame them because you are next to me and I'm seeing you flourish and I'm seeing your business, your car dealership next door flourish when I can't afford a loaf of bread. So they tend to immediately take out their anger on those very people because it's easier, it's instant, it's immediate. It's not an excuse. It's a matter of in poverty in South Africa. There is no education. We've been promised education and no one is getting them. You know, when you're being escalated, our syllabus is exactly. They don't teach us enough, not about just South African history, but about other African countries, you know, because if they did, then a lot of us would know that a lot of our struggle heroes left to be trained in Ethiopia, to be to in Tanzania. And if you know those kinds of things, your demeanor towards a non-South African or Tanzanian it's immediately warmth. You're like, oh my God, you're from Tanzania. And you both start talking about how your struggle heroes went and fought or were trained in Tanzania and were given refuge in Tanzania, which is why our national anthems are similar, you know, those sort of things. A lot of South Africans don't know those things. And it's because poverty, people are enriching themselves. There's no access to education. Even if you do get education, you cocktail of something that I'm not sure what's in. So if we were to improve the way we educate our kids from a very young age, you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you are in Nigeria and a Nigerian is teaching you about your South African history. Because a lot of things I've had to Google at this age, because at school there wasn't access. Didn't have access to them at school, in primary school, in high school, or in uni. So a lot of the South African history I've had to reteach myself at this age. And it's important, it's crucial, it is really, really important because it just changes the way you teach, you understand other people, you know, there's more empathy, they know you, you know them. Disconnect. There's a whole disconnect. There's a whole concept of Tina as South Africans, we think we're the America of Africa. Which is no, we think we're better than everybody else, right? And some of us behave that way, you know? And as soon as you meet the most humble, babes, Kenyans are so warm, like they are so warm. It's crazy, they are so warm. And Umuntu with several farms. Guys, but you'll never hear them bragging about how this and this and that, oh, I'm better than you. Or, do you know what I mean? So, in Kulumanje with a stranger, oh, that looks like a Mark Zuckerberg. And they are very laid back. You know? So we need to learn a lot of humility in South Africa, I think. We need to learn more about our history, our very own history. We need to learn more about other Africans. And I think our mindset will slowly change and therefore change the way we treat other Africans.
Powerful.
Yeah. Because wherever I go to, I try and have the best time there. So for example, Istanbul. When I went to Istanbul, and I'm talking about my experiences here, it was the best, like it still is my favorite city in the whole world. Like I've got the skyline on my back. That's how much I love it. Because it symbolized a lot of change at the time in my life. So when I got this first international gig, I was one, moving into an international media house. Two, I was starting a new life in a Muslim country. That's when I shaved. I used to be a weave girl. with braids. I shaved because I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to find someone to do my weave there by the Muslim country. So I shaved, and I made a conscious decision not to dig up any information about Istanbul or Turkey because I wanted everything to feel new. I wanted everything to feel fresh. So all I did was, okay, siyahamba siya Turkey, asambili. And I got there. Just let's loose. Oh my God, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. The people, the food, the being able to do travels internally, and it's affordable. You know, a lot of Turkish people at the time didn't speak a lot of English. Hey, that's me. Uh, um, so what did I do? I got local friends who spoke some English, and we did like an exchange lessons thing. I teach them English, they teach me Turkish. It was just amazing. It was beautiful. So if I were to buy a city, Pilile, it would be Istanbul, not so much a city. And then when I come to Nairobi, I'm having beautiful experiences as well. Not so much to compare to Istanbul, but it's a different kind of vibe. It's a different kind of beauty. It's whenever I go to South Africa, people ask me, when are you going back? I'm like, oh, I'm going back home on Monday. And they look at me, they're like, oh, I will. You're South African. Yeah. You know? So it's a different experience for me. I'd buy Nairobi as well because it feels like home. The food I eat here is home. The friends I have here are family. So it's not a matter of a whole country. No, I'd buy a city or two maybe. Istanbul, Nairobi, purely because I've experienced them in a long space of time, good and bad. The other day they took my phone. The other day, but it's okay. I still love the city.
Wow,
I still love the city. So not so much as a country, but yes, I would love to buy Istanbul.
Nah, they comment here saying you gotta love Africans. We are so super real. Kenyans are so educated. You're bayasithanda iskole. Mrs. Shabang was saying, and I understand shame. Oh, she shared her experience and say, when I was in Tanzania, the staff at the airport were hostile. Yo, Shabangu, I'm Sibisi. I was fine in Tanzania, hey? Like, they did their work. They were professional and frank about their work. Like, they don't stutter about their job description, hey? Like, I'll call managers of Tengeli drink. It's bye. Like, it's for real.
Let me say this. I think, Ubani beyakhuluma ngeTanzania?
Mrs. Shabangu.
Shabangu, can I just give you a piece of advice? Babes, it's hard, ne? It's hard. But when you travel between Ama airports, your departure one and your destination, try not meditation zone. Your experience starts when you've left the airport. Because at the airport and they're doing the same thing, babes. They are paging through people's passports. They are zooming into pictures. Weave. The next one you have braids. The other you have, there are too many stamps to pass through. They have their other issues that they've brought from home. Or they'll just pull you aside because you're just looking shanty and they want to check who's our terrorist. So personally, what I do is if I'm traveling, I talk to myself. I'm like, whatever happens in these airports, my holiday starts when I have left because I need to manage in excess. You can't be like, okay, it's actually so much. But try and go to your happy place, Mongan airports. Do exactly as they say. Futu smile, babes, smile. You leave and go have your best life. Because they will be rude, you're right. They will be. Some of them will be. Some of them are friendly. Some of them are just not in the mood. So when just internalize your happiness, whether if your happiness is food, avocado, mine, or the beach, or something. Go to your happy place, do what they ask you, leave. That's my piece. Yeah.
Hlonela, you definitely have the deets on traveling. Tutu here says, Hlonela, I'm calling you next time I'm coming to Kenya. Listen, Tutu, I did the same thing when I went to East Africa. I had a girl on lockdown. She even arranged someone to fetch me at the airport with my name written big saying, Nontobeko, what up, come here. So guys, please, Hlonela is the plug in East Africa. She'll show you a good time. A good time. Hey, my friend, I know, shame. Friend, but talking about that, I want to get into, since you love traveling so much, have you ever thought of starting a business that goes around your interest, which is traveling and connecting people. It's people, music, and traveling.
So this is the thing, né? There's a few of my close friends, you're one of them, and family who have, but in Gonja, these screw kids, they like, you're sleeping on yourself. Yeah. So I've had a lot of friends saying, you're sleeping on your friends, because if you look at my resume, all of the things I've done have nothing to do with travel. They have nothing to do. I'm a journalist. I've been doing hard news, a bit of arts entertainment, here and there. Went on to do international hard news, and now I'm doing business. So I've had people, close friends, people I've just met who ask me, what do you do? And when I say it, they're like, oh, I thought you would have said fashion something, or, you know, it's always like the opposite of what I do. And I told myself that I wanted to take a sabbatical for a good 6 months, travel through Asia. This was before Corona, guys. Travel through Asia for 6 months while I figure out a transition from what I'm doing now to making my social life into a professional life, right?
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I thought I would try and get into a travel show type of media house. And this is something I would be looking to. And I'm not saying Corona is the excuse here, but I was going to start to look into transitioning from business producer to a travel somebody or fashion somebody, or, you know, but it's true. I have been sleeping on myself. I have been lazy. I have been, you know, doing a lot of, yes, I hear you. Yes, I see it, but not enough of actually doing something about it. So yeah, it's
Yeah. It's also something to think of, in the sense that I also realize how many of us have an imposter syndrome, one, which is hard to work through because you're doubting yourself. You're also saying, well, there's some other white people that do travel blogging. I'm saying, why would I do that? And there are many places, many careers that we don't see ourselves represented in, which makes us hard to navigate in those careers. But I love how, for you, it's destiny. It's inevitably going to happen. But I want to also urge the fact of also encouraging conversations amongst each other as travel lovers and the youth. People like to work in isolation. And it's something where you just like, lower the pride, let's just do this together. And for me personally, there are many times I've just been like, dude, maybe I should do it. Should I approach someone? Maybe do it alone. People won't buy into the vision. And then it just never gets off, you know? And I'm looking for those collaborations where we like, okay, go in, do it. For you, how much involvement do you wanna have with other travel entrepreneurs in Africa as well? Because there's a big community that hasn't gathered together yet as a union of Black women travelers.
I think there's a space, like you say, there's a huge space to collaborate. But in the process of collaborating, there's a big risk as well. So you need to be okay to take the risk, and both mentally, financially. The way I could see myself doing it to start off is, because I'm based here in Nairobi, would be to get a traveler or entrepreneur from a different city out of Kenya, say Tanzania, or even South Africa, or elsewhere, where we do some sort of exchange. So you bring your crew to me, send my crew to whatever city you're in. But it's just, I think if to start off, I would want to start for myself, just to kind of gather my ground and be able to stand for myself on my own, so that when I do collaborate, I'm okay to be on my own as well as with someone else. I think for me, it would be a big thing to start on my own first, because I don't want to be left wanting, as Julius Malema would say. So to have some sort of comfort and some sort of strong financial structure before I introduce other people, it would be important for me. And then a form of collaboration would be, wherever you're from, send your people this way, I'll send mine that way. We do a tour together and see where it goes. It could be a start. But it takes a high level of trust. It takes a high level of confidence. It takes a high level of commitment. And these are things that one would have to remind themselves every now and then. I'm doing this, and this is why I'm doing this. And these are the kind of people I would love to do it with.
Now we're about to clock the hour. I'm gonna use the break that we had.
It's over.
I know it's getting to the over part, but I just want you to touch on the topic points which we didn't get to. Is Now, I personally love Black women that are about themselves, that are creating themselves in a way that liberates other Black women to do the same. And for me personally, you've definitely been that woman where, even at a young age, introducing me to travel, where I didn't come from a traveling family, but moving to Johannesburg and having a friend that's saying, "Ase Swaziland, ibushfire icon," and you're like,
Yeah,
"Ish,
I remember that.
you made so
Yeah,
many things so
yeah,
easy." And just your
yeah.
love for traveling and how you made me connect in traveling. Like for me, you really didn't still actually want to thank you for. And why I love traveling is because you've made me see the beauty in people and traveling the world. And I do want you to start this venture. I do want you to start this venture so, so badly. But I want to put that aside. You've met amazing people. You spoke about them earlier, but it's the same person who also wrote a caption that says, "Some people go around the world collecting fridge magnets. Hlonela collects tattoos." And I couldn't disagree. I could not disagree. Let's talk about the link of traveling and tattoos.
It's so yeah, like the caption says, people travel, you buy whatever, or ornaments or flags or scarves or blankets or magnets. I'm a lover of the ink and needles. I like embodying my experiences, right? And wherever I go, whatever city I'm traveling to, if I can get a good artist and experience something that I would like to remember forever, um, just not, not just mentally, but also something I see every day. Tattoos for me are the easiest option, like the easiest option. And it's not just about travel, just in my life generally. Like I tell my experiences through ink, right? And a lot of the times it doesn't annoy me, but it's also a bit of a, when people are like, "But aren't tattoos addictive?" I'm like, that time she has no tattoos, this person, but addictive tattoos are. I would like to say I don't think that's true. I think people get tattoos because of whatever experience they may have been going through, whether it's good or bad. It's something they want to remember, or it's a source of strength. When they see this tattoo, it reminds them of a time when they thought they couldn't make it through and they did. So that's me. Another question. So what do they mean? um, when you ask this question, as someone who doesn't have a tattoo, guys, please, I implore you, do not expect a story or an explanation that is deep according to you. We're not gonna tattoo. When you ask that question, let it be a genuine question of which, oh my God, so many. What do they mean? What does this one mean? I am happy to explain all of them, but don't expect my stories to be. I've had people who think that was a stupid idea to get a tattoo. May sound stupid to you.
On
Right
that
on
note,
cue. That was one of them.
on that note, on that very note, yes, you are saying that's a tattoo, guys. I confirm that is a tattoo of a smiley face on her toe. I do confirm. You were saying, Hlonela?
But is it not adorable? Is it not? So that one was for a friend of mine, Utevin. He's Kenyan. He used to live in Nairobi, and he got a really good gig in Germany recently, a few months ago. So he was moving there, and we were busy doing these farewells. And I had curated an exhibition along with some cute friends of mine, Uayo, Nadia, Musa. We turned a house that we used to live in into an exhibition, a gallery, really. So one of our friends, Eliamin, is a tattoo artist who did that smiley face. And he's also a painter, right? A really good one. And when I met him and I saw his pieces, I was like, oh, these are really good. And he talked about how he wanted to have like an exhibition. So my friends and I got together, planned an exhibition for him, and it's called The Friends I Keep, as you see on the screen there. And it's basically something that we started before coronavirus about how I would like to showcase each friend of mine and their talent and their skill. So Eliamin was the first one, and we did the exhibition, and he brought his tattooed things there. The next thing I know, people were getting tattoos, guys. People were getting tattoos. Including that smiley face on Tevin's toe. So to remember Tevin, I thought I would get one as well and be like, I'll remember all the memories that you got us, the laughs, the drinks, the hangs, and the good times. So yeah, that's heaven.
That's so absolutely beautiful, Hlonela. People are absolutely loving you today. Unela Roy saying, I'm glad I made today's conversation very engaging. And she says, I've witnessed the same humility with Zimbabweans in their country at Hlonela. And I get it when you say Kenya is a second home for you. Another one from I am Piggy Cola, who says, I've learned so much about Nela. I don't know what to Nela come Nela. Nela. Okay.
Hey, Piggy.
Okay. We see you, Piggy. We see you, Piggy. And Zed says, I love that idea. Showcasing each other's friends' talent purposely is so beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. What's your day looking like? The rest of your day looking like?
We did not talk about COVID. You know that.
But we did. It affected your travel plans. Okay, quickly, let's put it in. Yeah,
No, it's okay. So I'm just going to take a walk and see if public transportation is still a thing out there.
Okay, because I know your president, Uhuru Kenyatta, was actually talking about shutting you guys down from Monday the 6th. So how's that going on?
He gave us that speech, guys. Google doesn't know what that thing means. So what I could gather is that we're still under curfew from 7 to 5 a.m. You can't leave Nairobi. You can't fly out. You can't take the train to another city. But there's movement within Nairobi. I just want to see if public transportation is okay, because that's going to affect a lot of the movements for people who are going to work from Elukshini into town. Yeah. And therefore find a story for my show tomorrow.
I see.
But yeah, I mean, we still get to go out, go to the park, social distancing, but restaurants, clubs have been shut down. However, even before Corona, online delivery services and money mobile transfers has always been a thing in Kenya, thank goodness. So we're just sticking to that. All we do is order online, they deliver it, pick it up, get in the house. You can still order food, but you can't sit in at the restaurant.
Which is similar almost to South Africa.
Yeah, it's similar to us, but a little watered down. It's not as bad. I can't buy cigarettes.
Yeah. You should have seen, I was at the bottle store the other day trying to get alcohol to wash my hands, guys. And the lady behind me was like, "Sir, I need cigarettes. It's not essential." I was like, "Yes, please. It's not essential. Not now." But I was actually watching the news this morning, and I saw that Kenya definitely made the headlines for the regulations that were enforced on Monday. And it says they're going to come down heavily with public transport. And I'm trying to think, I don't know if it's this thing of public transport in Africa is going to work, because public transport and us,
there's no alternative. This is the problem. There's no alternative. You can shut down public transportation, but give me an alternative. Because if I don't move, the economy doesn't move. The very people who come and clean the houses so auntie can go to work and do whatever, they can't get to the house. Now what? People can't get to school. We can't move. And public transportation in Kenya is one of the cheapest modes of transport. So if you're going to shut that down, how do you expect someone who pays less than R5 to do a 30-minute trip to pay for a cab? How do I move from R5? So it's one thing to introduce these strict regulations, quite another not to offer an alternative. And that's my biggest thing with governments. You just pa and then not give me an alternative. What happens now?
Yeah. Do you see perhaps the regulations getting tighter? Because I know with South Africa, we're going through 21 days, but there's a lot of rumors where people are saying we'd likely to go longer than 21 days. But the other thing, people are looking around them to be like, we're not guli, namang guli. Life, which is starting to become the conversation in our townships, even back home in State. But so I'm interested to see, how do you foresee this going in Kenya? Are people obeying, or do you see some disobedience?
I have noticed over the past few weeks, a lot of wherever I am, there will be one or two people talking about coronavirus. So people are aware. I think one of our followers over here mentioned earlier how smart my Kenyans are. Education is a thing. So we are aware of coronavirus. The scary thing is, it's very hard to fight something that you can't feel, touch, or see. Yes, we talk about coronavirus, and it's supposed to be, it is this deadly virus. But how do I fight it? Wash your hands. So you're sitting there and you like can't make sense of how deadly this virus is, but I must just wash my hands to kill it. So there's that doubt, yeah. And a lot of people who are asymptomatic is going to be a problem, because you can't see, you can't tell that Nontobeko has coronavirus until they've tested positive, right? Or until it's a stage where you can't breathe and now you may die, right? So I think we need to just close the gap where everyone is aware that the next person could have coronavirus. I must take I must take the precautionary measures to make sure that I'm safe and the people around me are safe. Because this thing it's out of control that I can be fine, but I don't know if the next person is. So you need to treat each person as if they might have it and take the right measures. Wear a mask, sanitize, wash your hands, social distance, stay at home if you have to, if you don't have any essential things that you need to be doing out there. Order online if you have access to such things. If you don't, you just take the precautionary measures once you're at the supermarket. So yeah, it's just a matter of reminding yourself every day, Wuti, this is what I should be doing. Life is not the same anymore. Futi mina, I have cancelled 2020. I'm not doing anything for going to work, coming into the house. That's it. There's nothing happening. I can't travel anywhere. I can't.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear from you. How have you been finding with how the initial response of Africa towards the coronavirus? Because some people were saying they're quite offended that some people, Africans, for example, have started a challenge. Some people are saying, well, people just don't understand African humor. We're used to miserable times and we know how to laugh in miserable times. What is your idea with that psychology of dealing through this pandemic as third world?
You're right. As South Africans, we've gone through the harshest times. And one of our strongest way of getting out of that was resilience and finding humor, or turning the saddest moments into humor. And it's still with us. We're born on Twitter where people make fun. But it's also a risk because you're teaching people who aren't quite as educated about this virus to not take it seriously. So it can be dangerous as well. Ubonumuntu uyadlala creating masks with some random cloth. It's dangerous. It can get dangerous because you're teaching, and you don't know who has access to this post that you put up on Twitter. It can go anywhere and everywhere. When you were generally being cute and funny, and the next person might take it seriously and die. So it's a risk, and it's a culture that we've always had in South Africa, to make fun of things because it's easier to deal with when you laugh about it instead of crying. But it can also be very risky. It can be very risky, Yeah.
Okay, cool. On that note, my phone's already flashing 5%, and I'm scared it's going to cut before this conversation ends. Hlonela Lupuwane, thank you so much for honoring the space, the time, and the moment. Thank you for the energy that you give to us as people that love your inspiration and draw a lot from you. We hope that you are showered with love. We hope that you are showered with light. May you continue to go strong in this journey. We all need each other. And from us, we are giving you the energy you need to make yourself strong and to go forward with strength and a whole lot of courage. I love you, Nella, and be safe out there, hey? Be safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You too. Take care. Sanitize.
Bye, friend.
Bye.
Right, guys, thank you so much for joining in. That ends our conversation for today, which is here at Lockdown Abroad with myself, Nontobeko, Sibisi. Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation. I hope you guys too did at home. I see Neo here says this was absolutely beautiful, guys. Thank you so much. Ngiyabonga, Neo. Pepe Kumalo, you came a bit too late, my guy. You came a bit too late. But if you'd like Pepe Kumalo, please make sure you join me again tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And if you want to know what I'm going to be doing, let me just scroll here on my laptop to give you an idea. Hold. Sorry, I'm back. So guys, please join me again tomorrow at 11 a.m. And guys, also just another request out there. If you know anything that's happening on Instagram Live, if you know any free webinars that are educational or that could be useful to particular people, or any funds that are open right now, any opportunities that have been available during this pandemic, please also let me know. You can definitely come on at the end of this conversation and you can share with the rest of us. I think the situation is tight for a lot of us, and I think this is the time to start sharing ideas of how we can help each other, specifically financially as well. It's definitely a hard time. Now, right, tomorrow, I'm so super excited. We're going to be taking the conversation from Kenya and East Africa all the way to Scotland, Glasgow, baby. I'm so super excited. We're going to be talking to a lady by the name of Hlonela Zondo on Instagram. She's a PhD student in Scotland. With her, the conversation I'm going to be tackling in is academia. What does academia look like, and what are some of the preconceived ideas about being an academic, a Black woman academic? She likes crime and forensic documentaries and stories. So we're going to be talking about what are some of the things that we are engaging with and consuming online. So let me know what are some of your favorite shows. And then she's also going to be tying in with her traveling journey while she's still abroad. So please make sure you tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock. It is Lockdown Abroad with myself, Nontobeko Sibisi. Thank you so much for honoring the space and the time. I love you guys. Please go out there with good energies. Thank you so much.